Welcome to r/best of Redditor updates, where OP's girlfriend is a mega Karen. Our next Reddit post is from r/relationship advice. My girlfriend and I have been together for 2 years. She's great, friendly, considerate, funny, smart, and our love life is great. I can think of no major issues in our relationship, except for one. Whenever there's even the smallest hiccup while we're shopping, eating out, or on the phone with the customer service rep, my girlfriend snaps through this bizarre Jekyll and Hyde transformation and becomes a complete, ruthless, unrelenting Karen. Sometimes there doesn't even need to be a hiccup, she just escalates out of nowhere, and it happens without fail. This has happened many times, but I'll provide 2 brief examples. The first, she needed to return an item that was defective, so we went to the customer service desk. She didn't have a receipt, so the money would have to come back on a store gift card. No big deal for me, but for her, it may as well have been a scandalous assault on her rights as a consumer. She insisted in a rude and condescending tone of voice that she would not accept store credit, that it needed to be cash, plus $5 for pain and suffering. I stood there speechless as she screamed at the customer service manager, said that she would call corporate and have them all fired. Finally, she was asked to leave and loss prevention came to escort us out. I had to physically pull her along to get her out before it became a police issue. Second example, we went out to eat at a restaurant. She likes her burger well done. There was a trace of pink in the middle. No biggie, just send it back, right? Not for her. She rebutted the waitress's offer to get her a new burger, said that she was not going to wait, and wanted our whole meal comped. This led to the manager coming out, who offered to comp her half the meal. She became incensed and started screaming again. When the manager refused to comp the whole meal, she flew from her seat, swept a stack of napkins off the table, and declared she was never eating at this establishment again. I followed her out, still hungry, in stunned silence. I became even more stunned when she angrily connived in the car to claim that she had found an insect in her food and doxed the manager on social media. I literally do not recognize this vile woman. In literally every other situation in life, even stressful ones, she's perfectly ordinary. But as soon as she expects a service and does not get absolute perfection, she acts as though she's been confronted with a cosmic injustice. I'm disgusted by the way she talks to service workers. She acts like they're all worthless pieces of trash. We've talked about it, of course. I've noticed she immediately turns to me and begins trying to rationalize her escalations. That was ridiculous, right? How can a business treat their customers like that? Do you think I was too harsh? And I've always responded the same way. I wouldn't have reacted like that because I didn't think that it was a big deal. I've never gone farther than that because I have a bad feeling about the outcome if I did. I have so much anxiety about taking her out to eat, and I've avoided doing so specifically because of her outrageous behavior. COVID has been a lifesaver in this regard, but I can't keep dodging these situations and restricting my life because of my girlfriend's behavior. Frankly, this has even started to hurt our love life. I'm not as attracted to her as I once was, specifically because I'm horrified and embarrassed by her public meltdowns. And I don't understand how one specific situation can be so triggering for an otherwise normal person. It seems like as soon as we walk into a store or restaurant, she's already decided that the staff is her enemy. Just today, she yelled at a poor call center worker because one of our packages was late. I'm at a loss as to how to approach this. Again, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I feel like I'd be talking about a whole different person if I brought this up while she was in her normal state. But I know I have to address it somehow. We've discussed getting engaged in the future, and this issue is affecting other areas of our relationship. Then, 5 days later, OP posted an update. Well, I took everyone's advice. I sat my girlfriend down and had a frank discussion. It wasn't too dramatic. I laid out a few examples of my girlfriend's previous behavior to her, told her it made me feel less attracted to her, told her I was avoiding restaurants because of her, and explained that I couldn't see myself marrying a woman who behaved like this. She got defensive at first. Then she cried. We talked a little bit about her upbringing. She grew up with a very stern, controlling mother. She's agreed to go to counseling to work on this. She also promised to remain silent when she's angry at staff and let me do all the talking in the meantime. So that's really it for now. It seems that she's finally owning her behavior and is willing to work on it. Our next Reddit post is from r/relationship advice. So I'm a 25-year-old woman and my boyfriend is 28. He and his friend/our roommate, a 27-year-old guy, found my blog and tried to reenact a scene from a fanfic I wrote, thinking that because I wrote it, I'd be down for a cuckold situation. I was not, and ended up biting and punching my roommate. Okay, this is a lot, but please bear with me. I've had the most jarring and stressful 2 days, and I'm at a loss of what to do. I'm not even sure how to explain this. A lot happened in a very short window of time, and it left me confused and scared, but to start, my boyfriend apparently found my blog where I write and post fanfiction in my spare time. It wasn't a secret blog. I've told him about it in passing, but he just didn't seem interested. Most of it is safe for work stuff, but there's some not safe for work stuff as well. Only around 10% of the not safe for work stuff are things I actually wrote for myself because I thought they were hot. The rest are commissions that people paid me to write. Please understand that a lot of them involve kinks and fetishes that I myself am in no way interested in. I wrote them to meet the specifications of the people paying me. I have no issues with the stuff that I wrote, but it's just not my cup of tea. Now, my boyfriend apparently went through and read some of my not safe for work stuff and got a few ideas of things that we could try in the bedroom. Fine, that's normal. But instead of talking to me about it in private, he thought that it would be more real and sexy if he were to surprise me. So he went to my friend, our roommate, and got him into the idea of a threesome type situation. My boyfriend is bi, and I assumed my roommate was straight, so I don't even know how that conversation went. But they planned to surprise me when I got home from shopping. When I got home, my roommate said that my boyfriend went to visit his parents, who lived 10 minutes away. And I said alright and started putting away stuff with his help. After it was done, I turned around and my roommate was literally 3 inches from me and backed me up against the fridge. I've never felt nervous around him, but in that moment I was very scared. He was acting strange and was too close. I asked him to back up. He refused and said he knew I liked him, which in truth I had. Almost a year before, I'd had a very mild physical crush on him, but I never once entertained the idea of doing anything about it because I was already in a relationship. After living with him though, the crush very quickly faded. I was mad at this point. He was giving me a very smug and satisfied look, like he knew what I was feeling better than me. He suggested we get closer, but he used a grosser term, and that my boyfriend would never have to find out. I was effing stunned. Roommate and boyfriend have been friends longer than I've known either of them, which is close to a decade. So to hear him just bluntly say we should cheat together was effing insane. And I didn't get to say anything besides, "What?" before he leaned down fast and kissed me on the mouth. Everything happened so fast, it felt like I moved in fast motion. I bit my roommate on the mouth, breaking skin. And when he pulled himself back, I didn't hesitate and punched him in the face. He ended up on the floor yelling. I grabbed my phone and was gonna call 911 when, to my surprise, my boyfriend came running out of my roommate's room looking panicked. He saw the roommate on the floor bleeding and me standing backed against the fridge with blood on my mouth. Not a lot, but enough to see. After that, things sort of blurred and we all ended up screaming at each other. I found out my boyfriend found my blog, shared it with roommate, and they went through the not safe for work stuff. And then unilaterally decided the stories were me projecting my desires onto the characters. And my boyfriend thought that I would be really into us all acting out one of the fanfics. I screamed at him that he was an effing whack job, and that all those stories were commissioned work people paid me to write. I was shaking. I was, and still am, so effing mad. I felt like I was gonna throw up because of how scared I got with my roommate getting so aggressive with me. I thought I was going to be assaulted in my own home. My boyfriend tried to apologize, but I told him to F off. Then I grabbed some clothes and left. I went to my sister's house and just cried after she let me in. I felt bad for that because her daughter was there and saw me break down. I didn't mean to scare her or my sister. Once I wasn't ugly sobbing anymore, I told her everything and she said that I should call the cops and report them for it. But I don't know if that's too extreme. I don't know what to do. My boyfriend's been calling me, but I've not answered or listened to any of the voicemails he left me. I still feel violated and scared. Too much to even think about going back right now. My roommate texted me a few times apologizing, but I've not replied to him either. I'm just laying on my sister's couch alone at nearly 1 a.m., unsure what to do now, how to move forward. Aside from this huge screw-up, my boyfriend's been a great boyfriend. He's not perfect, but neither am I. But this is a really massive screw-up, and I feel lost. Do I talk to him? Just break things off? Ghost him? I left all my stuff at the house. Is there any way to salvage this? Would I be dumb to try? 2 weeks later, OP posted an update. To start off, there's no salvaging this relationship. Not after this. There's no way I can continue to date someone who would actually go through with something this screwed up. Especially all on his own, without even once trying to see if it was something I'd even want. Even in the best case scenario, he would just be a massive butthole who didn't look before he leapt into an unthinkably terrible idea. But worst case scenario, this whole thing was a lot more malicious than I'd like to dwell on. Neither option puts him in a flattering light. My boyfriend is now officially my ex. A couple of days after posting, I finally sat down and listened to and read all the voicemails and texts that my ex and my roommate left me. I was hoping for some insight into what they were thinking when they did this. But sadly, most of it was just them begging forgiveness in the same breath they used to make excuses for everything. Saying it was all a mistake, they didn't think that it would hurt me, they were just trying to do something nice, that they thought that I would like it. Could I please talk to them? Typical stuff that some folks on here told me they would say. Then their pleas for forgiveness slowly turned exasperated and annoyed the longer I didn't reply or pick up. Finally, my ex asked me to not do anything crazy, like go to the police, because this was clearly all one big misunderstanding. And if I did, it could ruin how people see them, or worse. That was when it really hit me that neither of them seemed to actually feel bad for what they'd done. They weren't ashamed of cornering me and almost R-wording me. They were scared that I would tell everyone and they would get looked at funny. I took everyone's advice and filed a police report. I don't feel like it'll even go very far, but people were right. There needs to be a paper trail in case anything messed up like this happens again. My sister went and sat with me while I told an officer everything. I even showed them the text messages and voicemails. To their credit, the cop who was handling this actually took everything down like he sorta cared. Whether they follow up with anything is up in the air. Then OP posted a long paragraph explaining that she successfully got her stuff out of their apartment. Later, my phone was blown up by my ex and roommate when they got home and saw that I'd been there and taken all my stuff when they were at work. I texted them both a message saying I wasn't coming back, my ex and I were over, I got my stuff, and I left their keys sitting on the table, and I locked my door on the way out. Their messages were mostly along the vein of, "How will we pay rent now?" Despite both of them making enough to cover it until they get a new roommate. I was never on the lease, so legally I'm fine on that front. I also said that I didn't want either of them contacting me in any way, shape, or form from here onward. I was going to block them on everything, and any further attempt to contact me would result in me getting a restraining order taken out on them. I didn't give them a chance to reply, I just blocked them. So far, they haven't tried contacting me, but we'll see. And finally, I'm not feeling fantastic, but I feel much better than before. I'm still sorta anxious since everything, but I'm sleeping better now. I'm still going to work, but I did take a few days off to recuperate before heading back to the grind. I'm spending more quality time with my niece and sister and brother-in-law, which is nice. I've set up a remote session with a therapist, and I'll meet with them via Zoom soon. I think talking through this will be good for me. This story reminds me of a real-life news story I read, where some dude was pissed off at his ex, a woman, and he posed as her on Craigslist and said that it was his fantasy, said that it was her fantasy, to have some random stranger break into her home and, do things to her. And, no matter how much I scream or say no, I want you to still do it anyways. And here's my address. And some doofus read this and thought, oh, okay, this is totally a legit post. And he tried to do it. This random stranger drove to the girl's house, who of course had no idea about the post in the first place, and tried to assault this girl and ended up getting arrested. And so did this stupid boyfriend who tried to pull this stunt. Our next Reddit post is from r/TrueOffMyChest. I know it was wrong to lie to my girlfriend, and I probably should have just told her the truth. I lied because I didn't want to hurt her or upset her, but I realized it was still a lie. I've been playing fantasy football with some friends for years. We're all big sports fans, but football is the biggest. Last season, one of the guys dropped out of our fantasy league because he said it was taking up too much of his time, and he was afraid it was pushing him into a gambling problem. We needed another player, and my girlfriend watches football, so we asked for her to play. I know I'm going to catch heat for saying this, but it wasn't as fun playing with her as I thought that it would be. I don't know if it was beginner's luck or what, but she pretty much destroyed the rest of us all season. It was not fun losing to her. So this season, we just decided to tell her that we weren't playing this year. I didn't want to at first, but the other guys insisted. We invited the new brother-in-law of one of the other guys to play instead. I just told my girlfriend everyone was too busy to play this year, and she didn't question it. On Thursday night, we slipped up and she found out that we're still playing. She had to go to work, but she was pissed off. She's been frosty since she got home Friday morning. Next weekend, we're supposed to go to an out-of-state wedding, but now she said she wants to go by herself. I tried to explain, but it just made her mad. It's nothing personal. No one hates her or anything. I know I'm gonna catch heat in the comments. Every time I try to explain, it makes it worse. I screwed up and there's no way around it. But she's so upset, and I don't know what to do to make it better. I know I messed up. Then, 2 months later, OP posted an update. So, it's over. I know I screwed up and the writing was on the wall. The worst part is that I have no excuses. I know how badly I messed this up. I'm not even looking for sympathy here. When my girlfriend got back from the wedding, she asked me why I lied to her. I didn't have any answer for her. All my explanations just made it worse and didn't really explain anything. I tried to apologize, but she didn't want to hear it. It was the worst week of my life. It was almost like she was freezing me out. At one point, she asked me if we ever talked about her in the group chat of our fantasy league. I didn't have an answer to that. She just said, "It's not nice, right?" And I think that was the turning point. I never want to see her cry, and the worst part is knowing I did this because I was stupid and didn't stand up to my friends. She said she doesn't think that we're compatible and shouldn't date anymore. She didn't want to accept my apologies, and I understand and I won't bother her now. She went to stay with her family for another week, and now I've heard she came back because of her job, and now she's staying with her friends. But I'll leave her alone. I'm looking for another place to live because our lease is up at the end of the month. She left 2 weeks ago, and it feels empty. And the worst part is I know it's my fault. I barely care about watching football now, and normally I'd be excited about it because my team is in first place. If you take anything away from my post, don't put your friends over the person you love. Learn to stand up for your friends. I learned my lesson after all this. OP, you had a wife who shares the same hobbies with you, but because you're, basically spineless and probably a little bit sexist, you couldn't handle losing to a girl, so you fumbled hard and lost your marriage. Cool, impressive, well done, my dude. That was r/best of Redditor updates, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.